so much for taking some of your time out of your evening tonight and joining us. As you can probably guess, we are incredibly proud of our alum, and so anytime we have an opportunity to have them back in the building, we just get incredibly excited. Tomorrow night is an alumni event here, and so we're super excited to see even more alumni than the 7 that you see in front of you. So tonight, we wanted to give you an opportunity to hear from some of our alums, some very recent, others a little further beyond. And for our existing parents or current parents, I see many middle school parents in the room, and you're probably sitting there and wondering about the transition to high school and the process of getting into high school, as well as what does it look like while they're there. And for our prospective families, the outcomes and the product, they matter. And so we wanted to, show you, instead of talking to you about it, we'd like to show it to you. And so we are thrilled that we have some of our awesome alumni, and we would like to start off by having them introduce themselves. And then our middle school director, Kristen Cudahy, will facilitate the conversation. She'll ask them a few questions, and then towards the end, around 7:45-ish, we'll hand the mic to you all and see if you have any questions. All right? Abby, would you mind starting?
Hi, my name's Abby. I go to Holton Arm School and I'm a freshman.
Hello, my name is Mahari. I go to St. Albans School and I am also a freshman.
Hi, my name is Jane. I'm a freshman at Holy Child.
Hi, I'm Finley. I'm a senior at GDS, Georgetown Day School.
Hi, I'm Charlie, and I am a senior at Georgetown Prep.
Hello, I'm Ariel. I'm a junior at St. Andrew's Episcopal School.
I'm Joey. I'm at Whitman, and I'm a junior.
Well, thank you very much. Let's hear it for our fabulous friends. It gives me also great pride to be standing next to 7 phenomenal students who I had the pleasure of teaching and leading while they were in middle school here at WES. And so it's with great pride that I get to kind of present them to you this evening. We talked a little bit before we came out to join you all about some of the questions we were going to be asking tonight. Really an opportunity for them to get to share a little bit about what it was about WES that they took with them, and perhaps why. Those were the things that kind of stayed with them. But more importantly, what is it about that second piece of the journey, secondary school, that's been very special for them, and kind of what threads have kind of continued from WES into their secondary school experience. As you can see, we have public school and private school and co-ed and single sex, so lots of opportunities to get a different point of view and perspective. And kind of along those lines, my first question to you panelists is, can you tell me a little bit about why you chose to go to the school you did? So you want to think about that for a second. And I'm going to go back down to Abby, and I'm going to start down.
When I was choosing what school I was going to go to, I didn't really have a lot of reasons. I think I mainly chose my school because it just felt like the right school to me. And I kind of guess in this whole high school process, if you just kind of listen to what you really feel, you'll know, because that's how I felt, and I just knew that it was going to be the right place for me for the next 4 years.
I had 2 pretty simple criteria for choosing high school: solid academics and solid sports. St. Albans meets both of those perfectly. St. Albans has very rigorous academics and beyond solid sports. So, yeah.
I chose Holy Child because of the community. I remember my visit. Everyone there was so nice and welcoming and supportive, and it reminded me a lot of WES. Everyone is so kind and everyone's there for you, and yeah, I love it there.
I knew after being at WES that I wanted to continue sort of having that great school spirit and school community, and I felt that really strongly at GDS, and that was really my main reason for deciding to go there.
Georgetown Prep heavily stresses brotherhood, and so I really wanted a close-knit community because that's what I West, like a good close group of friends. And when I went on my tour at Georgetown Prep, everybody was so welcoming, so I thought I could do the same there.
It was Miss Cuddy. He worked at St. Andrews before I went there, obviously. And she heavily recommended it, and it also was a very tight-knit, small community, especially when I shadowed there and visited. I recognized that within the students and the faculty. So, yeah.
We had already decided that I was going to go to public school, and I happen to live in the Whitman district, but it wasn't just that, it's also a great school, great academics, and a great community, so it's a pretty easy decision for us.
So along the same lines, I want to talk a little bit about success. And I know we all define success a little bit differently, particularly when perhaps you've only been in your new school for 4 or 5 months, and some of you have been in your new school much longer. But I want to think about what are some of the things that you brought with you, perhaps, from WES that you feel have contributed to your own success, whatever that looks like to you, where you are now. And you can just raise your hand if you want to think about this. Ooh, Abby once again.
I think when I was starting school, I was really nervous, especially going into a new environment. So I think one of the most important things was how WES teaches everyone to be kind, and how really, when you're just going somewhere new and there's a lot of new people, if you're just kind to everyone, you can make friends really easily. Because I know all the schools here have really great communities. So if you just put out like positive energy, it'll come back to you, and you'll be able to make really great friends.
I was at West for a very long time, 10 years, and while I was here, I became very comfortable in the community. And when somebody new came, I felt comfortable to go and introduce myself to them. Through that, I learned but I developed communication skills, and I strengthened the way I talk to people. So going into a new environment like St. Albans, it wasn't particularly difficult for me to make friends and introduce myself to teachers because I had built that foundation here.
Sort of to add on to that, I felt that WES helped me gain like a really strong sense of self. And that was really helpful going to a new high school, which was bigger and a completely different environment. And it helped me make friends, helped me gain leadership experience, and really just go after all that I wanted to do during high school.
Switching gears a little bit, I have no doubt that everybody experienced some sense of trepidation around switching or moving to a new school. Can you elaborate on a challenge that you had going to a new school, and specifically perhaps a way that you felt prepared to handle that challenge?
There was definitely a bit of a culture shock when I switched from West to Whitman, just because middle school to high school, but also private school to public school. I went from a class of 40 people to 600 freshman year. So there's a lot more different kinds of people, but I was definitely prepared for that because my class at West was a very diverse group of kids. There was different backgrounds and different people and different interests, and for me that was a good base because I feel like I could connect with all the different people that I had in my classes, especially freshman year when everybody's kind of taking similar schedules, so the people that are taking less accelerated courses are still going to be in your classes. So I didn't really have that much of a problem connecting with them and making friends. So, yeah.
I would say the biggest thing is definitely the size. I think all of us can agree that the difference between West and a high school is definitely gonna be different. But kind of adding on to what Abby Maharu said down there, I think the relationship skills that you build, like at West, those can definitely translate to high school, and that's an easy way to ease into a bigger community is making friends that way.
I would like to talk a little bit about how you managed workload. If you can remember, some of you you on the older side, what it was like kind of managing your workload here at WES compared to what it's been like to manage your workload in high school. What factors make that easy and or hard? How did it compare? And what did you notice perhaps about what you had to change or manage in terms of workload?
So WES, it was challenging enough to, have homework. And for me in high school, I have a little bit more homework, but we have this thing called PGT, personal growth time. So we can have time to do our homework and study and do whatever we need to. WES also offered a study hall, which was really helpful. But at the end of the day, I can finish all my work and, have a stress-free week.
Jane kind of stole what I had to say, but so I played football in the fall, and practice used to end at 6 o'clock. So I would get home fairly late and still have a bunch of homework to do. But I also played sports at WES, so I was used to having to manage my time with my homework here, playing sports and playing at St. Albans.
Yeah, similar to Maharu, I'm a 3-sport athlete, so I'm always doing a sport. And I think one of the most important things that WES teaches is time management, because at my school we have study halls, but if you're just using that time to talk to your friends, which is fine, I do that, but if you use it to do your work, it's definitely a lot easier, at least for me, because I do get home pretty late, so I don't want to be up late doing homework. So I think a really important thing that WES teaches is just time management and getting your work done when you can, so you don't have to do it later and it doesn't stress you out.
Workload was definitely a big challenge for me. When I went to Georgetown Prep, it was very, very different. I had a lot more work. I was very, very surprised. But one thing I will say is that a lot of the stuff that I learned at WES, funny enough, I used and I already knew when I was learning at Georgetown Prep. Like, for example, I take anatomy right now, my senior year, and 50% of the stuff I know, I learned in 8th grade with Miss Earl, so I thank her for that.
So everybody here knows that WES is founded on 3 very, very core principles. We believe that you are going to leave here kind, confident, and prepared. Of the 3, take a minute to think about this. You can all think about this too. Of the 3, which one do you think is the most important? Either for you personally, or the one that you had to lean on the most during your transition or your time in secondary school? Joey's ready, so get ready.
I feel like confidence is a big one here. Just switching from WES to such a bigger school, it's a little intimidating. There's a lot of people. There's not as much personal attention between the students and the teachers, but I always felt comfortable going up and talking to my teachers and advocating for myself, or even talking to other classmates and just kind of reaching that distance and actually forming those connections. So that was very useful for me, just the confidence that from WES.
Miriam, if you want to say something, great. If you don't, you just pass the mic down. Okay, Mario.
I agree completely with Joey, but I can't choose one. Can I go kind and confident?
Yes.
Because you can't fake it. So if you're genuine and you're not afraid to approach people, life is just so much easier. If you're struggling in a course, you're not scared to ask your teachers. It's easier to make friends and thus adjust to the new environment. So kindness and confidence for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're all like really important, so if you have all of them, that's great. But I would definitely say that kindness is the most important. Kind of just going back to my earlier answer, especially when you're going to a new space and you're very nervous, if you are really just kind to everyone, they're going to be kind to you, and you're going to have a great time making friends and creating connections, and you're just going to be like really happy. So.
Well, at Abby took pretty much everything I was gonna say. Yeah, I was pretty much just gonna say kindness was super big for me. It's just gonna give you such a boost in making friends. Like, if you're nice to people, people are gonna like you more. And even just saying hi in the hall to someone, like, oh my gosh, they're so nice, like, it really just helps a lot. So, yeah, kindness is really big.
I'll make an argument here for prepared too. I feel like I say this all the time, especially with my really close friend who went to WES as well, and we always talk about how WES sort of like helped us learn how to learn, if that makes any sense. Like, I came to high school knowing how to take notes, knowing how to study, time management as well. And I think that was really helpful, especially looking around at some of my peers who I could see did not have those skills, but I felt really grateful that I could take those things with me to high school in different classes. Yeah.
Out of the three, I think confidence is the most important because for me, I found myself kind of struggling socially. I was able to make friends, people talk to me, but putting myself out there and socializing and putting a foot forth to make friends was a little hard. And also academically, I shared with Ms. Cuddy earlier, I'm taking AP US History today, and well, not today, this year, sorry. I felt like I wanted to stay in my comfort zone of just taking normal classes, but the confidence to actually try to take a harder class and the motivation, it really helped me to push myself forward and try harder.
I was gonna say prepared. Everything that Finley said, I was gonna say. I was gonna emphasize heavy on note taking. I remember freshman year, I went into history class, and people were just like sitting there while the teacher was writing on the board. I was like, "What are you guys doing?" It was so confusing. But just a lot of the skills, organization, note taking, test study skills, stuff like that, all learned at WES. That was great.
Perfect, just a little bit of everything. Keeping count, I think we got a little bit of everything. Awesome, thank you so much. I'm trying to be mindful of our time, so I want to talk a little bit now about some risk-taking. It's also, I think, a really important quality to start to kind of cultivate in children, particularly around the middle school age, is to get the confidence and the trust of the adults around them to be willing to take some chances. And of course, what we really hope is that when they leave WES and they go to their next school, they're ready to try something new. So, my friends, I want you to think about something new, something you didn't do here, a class you didn't take, an extracurricular in particular, something that you did that was new. And of course, for my newer students, if it's something you're looking forward to trying, that's perfectly fine too. But can you tell me a little bit about a risk you took and something new that you tried? Start with that.
Okay, so my mom probably knows what to say. In the fall, I tried out for tennis. I've never played tennis before, so it was definitely new for me. I was very, very, very scared because we had preseason and I was new and I literally knew nobody. So I was genuinely terrified. I made the team. I was JV exhibition, which if you know what that means, it's like last place. That's okay, I was still there. Still counted. And like honestly, I am just so happy I did it because I made so many good friends. We have this thing called a ring sis at Holton, which is basically somebody in the grade above you who like you're really close with, and then they like propose to you. It's like the whole thing. And I met my ring sis that way, and I just made like so many friends, and I love it so much. And I just think that if I never took that risk, I never would have known how much I enjoyed being on the team, and that I'm like kind of good at tennis. So.
All right, good luck with the rest of your television. Come on, Murray.
I mentioned earlier I played football. I've always loved football, but I've never played before. Most I've played is flag football during the fall of 7th grade. And I don't know, I didn't want to play soccer. I'm not that good at soccer, so I thought, hey, I'm pretty big. Football works out for me. Even though my parents were against it. But I played football. I loved it. I met a lot of people, and yeah, I had a great time.
That's great. Jane, can you do anything?
I feel like this might not be big as trying a new sport, but really just putting yourself out there was a big change for me because, I've been at West, or I was at West for 10 years, and I knew everyone already, and so by the time high school rolled around and I was like, shoot, I have to make friends. I remember the first day, freshman orientation, and I just saw all these girls who I didn't know, but I remembered, okay, take a deep breath, it's gonna be fine. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you got this, you can make friends. So putting myself out there was something that really helped me.
Great.
At GDS, there was, during the winter, there's something called Winter One Acts, which is basically students write, direct, and cast a one-act show and then perform it in front of the entire high school. So with my friend this year, we decided that we would write a one-act and cast it and then direct it. So we're directing it right now. And it's been sort of like a crazy experience to have to learn how to direct people and lead and manage everything and set your own schedule. And it was also sort of scary to write something that people would have to perform. But so far it's been really worthwhile and it's been something I've really enjoyed.
I've always been more of a history type of guy, but I remember freshman year club day, I was heavily convinced to join the newspaper club. And I had no clue really what it is, what it was, but I joined and I've been doing it for 4 years since. I think it's really helped my writing skills, and now I get to edit other people's papers, which is always fun because you get to crack down on them. But I really have a blast, and it was a great experience. I'm happy the guy convinced me when I was in my freshman year. It was good.
So last year I had to write a 10 to 12 page paper, and I was very stressed. Sorry, it was in a history class that I took, and it could be on any topic in history. And I was so stressed. I didn't know if I was gonna make it, how much stuff to put on my paper, but I was able to come through. And this year I actually wrote a 15-page paper, and I felt very accomplished. So.
Whitman encourages students to start their own clubs. It's very easy for students to do that, and it's completely student-led, and you get out of it just what you put in. And last year, my sophomore year, my friends and I, we had a lot of fun singing Christmas songs together, and we decided to put it together and maybe make it like an official Whitman club, but it was past the registration deadline. So we tried our best, we raised some money, and then this year we actually were able to have a poster at the club fair where most of the school comes in and looks at your posters and either signs up for your club or they don't. And this year we were able to get about 80 members, and we brought our total to $5,700 raised. And it was scary at first just to organize all those people and try and actually have a real club meeting, but we got better at it as we went along and figured it out. So yeah.
Awesome. Where did the money go?
We donated it to Cure Search. It's a children's cancer organization.
Awesome. Wow. There you go. Risk taking at its finest, friends. I'm very, very impressed by all your stories. Thank you very much. Want to take you on a trip down memory lane now. A lot of families here will tell you, and students for sure in the audience, that one of the things we look forward to the most every year are our trips, our study trips. Sometimes we look forward to the big trips, but sometimes it's some of the smaller trips that can resonate with you as well. And so I would love it if each of you would think for a second about a trip moment that you kind of think about or resonates with you. I know some of you didn't have the benefit of every trip because of the pandemic. That's how old some of these kids are. But I'm hopeful that you'll come up with something. So give me a trip memory. That is all in. Let's go.
Okay, my favorite trip was the Chesapeake Bay trip. Awesome trip. And I have so many memories from that trip. It was just so amazing. truth or dare, and it was just like really funny. I don't remember what questions or truth or dares they were, but I just remember that it was like a really great bonding experience, and the whole trip was just really amazing, and I loved it so much. Like that was hands down my favorite trip.
My story circulated very quickly. It came from the 8th grade retreat to Caroline Furnace. The 8th grade, and I think the 3rd week of September, we go down to a camp in, I think, Virginia, West Virginia.
Yeah.
And we just do a bunch of stuff, bonding stuff together. One of those was canoeing down the Shenandoah River. So, yeah. I was in a canoe with my friend Max. And to make a long story short, I told Max to turn to the right because there was a rock in front of us. And the boat turned sideways and we tipped over and fell into the very cold river. And everybody sailed by and laughed at us. But that cold water and falling will be ingrained in my memory forever. Oh yeah, I lost both of my shoes in the water bottle as well. Those are in the Atlantic Ocean.
I think one of my favorite memories from the trips was in France. We went to St. Malo, which is outside of Paris. It's like to the east, it's by the sea. And I just remember how much fun it was to go on the beach with all my friends and walk and get a bunch of shells, which were really pretty. We got to pick them up and take them home, I guess. And it was just so much fun. Like, we all got to go shopping and we kind of had a lot of freedom. It was just so much fun, and it was definitely one of my favorite memories.
My favorite West trip memory is probably from Utah, which we went in 8th grade because of COVID. And I think it was one of our last nights there. We were all sitting around a campfire, and we were sort of like we were sat next to random people, and then you had to say something that you valued or liked about the person who was sitting to the right of you. And I just remember I don't know, that's just one of my favorite all-time memories of this group of 27 people who are about to graduate. We've all gone through WES together, just bonding over how much we love being with each other. Yeah.
I'd say my favorite trip moment was definitely the France trip as well. I loved it so much. I think the best part was seeing the teachers out of their element. You usually see the teachers in the classroom. I mean, even some of your classmates you don't often see outside of school. So seeing everybody outside of the school-like element was really fun. So I think it's always a blast.
I have many memories, but I'll just share the most memorable one. So we had went to Utah, and I remember us getting off the bus, and they had gave us blindfolds, and we were kind of like, what is this for? And they're like, just trust us, that's our teacher. So they ended up putting us into a line and guided us to a ledge, and we took off our blindfolds all at the same time, and it was this beautiful view. I also remember that day being very cold, and it actually started hailing. But it was great because I never had been to Utah or the Grand Canyon, and the views were amazing. So it was nice to experience that with my peers and my teachers.
Similarly to Finley, I really enjoyed in Utah when we had the campfire night, and we were all just the whole experience for me, just getting to tell the stories and talk and just bond over that campfire was something that I really enjoyed about that trip.
Some great memories there. Thank you all.
I want to ask about advice. We have a few more minutes. Advice that they may give. There's several middle school students in the audience. Advice maybe on either the process or the transition to high school, or how to spend your last 1 or 2 years of life.
Wow, Mr. Baldwin has some really boring questions. So as you know, there are a lot of people in the audience who are right now thinking about their own children being sitting in your seats not too far from now. And so I would like to ask you to think a little bit about what kind of advice would you give to either the families out there who are in the middle of the process of looking at high schools, or to some of your student colleagues out there. What should they be doing with these last maybe 2 or 3 years at WES to get ready? high school. Ariel.
What I would say is just like cherish every moment because you're gonna look back and be like, wow, this all happened. And I find myself doing that a lot, especially in high school and thinking about how much I've grown. And secondly, just trust the process and be patient. And I think I found myself very worried when it came to applying to high schools. But I ended up in a great place, so don't stress, don't worry, just trust the entire process.
I've now had to go through 2 school processes, so a lot of weight is now off my shoulders. But I think the biggest word you have to remember is perseverance. Keep your stamina up, keep going. It's always going to be difficult when you're going through a really tough process like this, but as long as you can keep yourself in the right mental space and keep working hard, it's all going to work out, which is what is the best.
I would just say, like, enjoy it. I think the last couple of months of 8th grade were some of my favorite times of WES. And looking back, like, I miss it. I miss the tests, I miss my classes. It was just so much fun, and it was really fun.
I agree with what Jane said. I wouldn't say I missed the test, but I definitely had a lot of fun in 8th grade. But don't stress too much, and don't put yourself in a position to stress. I procrastinated a lot on my high school essays, so I ended up waiting until the last minute saying, oh, I have time, and then I stressed for no reason. So make it easy for yourself. It doesn't have to be that difficult. It's a stressful time, and I get it, but make it as easy for yourself as you can.
I have 2 pieces of advice. For the parents, I think just really listen to your kid through the whole process because obviously your input matters, but in the end, it is their decision and they're gonna know the right place for them. So they don't have to like tell you why, like it feels right for them, they're just gonna know, and I think you should listen to them. And then for the people at WES, just really, like everyone said, enjoy your last moments because I was so worried about like high school and I was kind of scared to leave, but if you just really stop and enjoy your time and slow it down, I think you're really gonna love it and you'll remember it as a really great time in your life.
So I'm sure some of you are sitting there, and as you heard our alum speak tonight, some questions have come up in your mind, and we'd love to give you an opportunity to ask us.
I would like to hear from Joey about your experience at Whitman, going from a small school to such a big one. Can you tell me more about that? My son is very interested in Whitman because he's heard they have good sports, which is the only thing he cares about. It also sounds better for my wallet, frankly, so I'm interested. Please tell me more about your experience there.
Oh, well, first, the sports are great. We've been doing very well recently. I'm not on any of the sports teams, but I have multiple friends who are. They really love it. It's a great community there. The sports teams are very closely knit. The teachers are very nice. And the biggest thing for me was just the range of courses that are available for you to take. Like right now I'm taking aerospace engineering, which is, it's niche, you know, like I get to choose things that I wouldn't be able to take otherwise. Like there's everything from, again, aerospace engineering to like AP drawing or stuff like that. And there's just so many things that I now see that I'm able to take. And then I talk to some of my friends back from middle school and they're like, oh, I don't have anything like that. We don't have stuff like that. As far as social stuff, the transition for me, like I said earlier, was a little surprising just because like the different culture of it, but it was a fun transition for me. I enjoyed like seeing how different people think and making those new friends and those new circles, just because there's so many more people that I'm able to become friends with. Like if I don't really like a certain group of kids, I can just go and talk to other people from a different class. So I've really enjoyed Whitman. Yeah.
Any questions?
How's it going from a co-ed school to a single-sex school?
Ready? Co-ed single sex, let's go.
It's definitely very different. We're thankful to have a sister school, so we're not in complete isolation. There are some co-ed classes, but it's definitely very different in a good way. I feel like in a single-sex school, you can develop closer bonds with the people around you because there's no awkward dynamics. We all have similar experiences, and that just makes it even closer, you know?
I think going to an all-girls school in particular, it's a really great place just to become more confident in yourself because, like, I know there's a lot of people who struggle, like, being around boys in high school and it's, like, difficult for their insecurities and stuff. So I think for a lot of people, it's just really great to be in an environment where everybody's very supportive of you and everybody just cares for you. And also, I was kind of scared to go to an all-girls school because I thought it meant that I was, like, never going to see a guy again. That's not true. I mean, even we have, like, designated days for our other schools landed, and we have Fulton Landing collabs. There's also, in the fall, there was homecomings. We had a winter dance, and, like, you bring dates to that. And not only do you just bring your date, but your friends bring dates, and you get to meet a bunch of different people. So honestly, I'd say that you'd meet more people going to an all-girls school than I would if I went to a co-ed school, just because there's so many different types of people that my friends know. So I honestly think that it's really great. I really love it. So yeah, I definitely recommend it.
I think one of the reasons a lot of people choose an all-girls or an all-boys school is because there's a lot of less distractions. You know, you can really focus more on your studies and what you're learning and just making new friendships. I think that was one of the reasons I chose an all-girls school, and I think it really helped me.
I was very sure that when I went to prep, which is all boys school, it was gonna be very, very different, and it was gonna feel a lot different. It's really very different. That's all I can really say. But I would say that I didn't really feel that much of a difference. I think the relationships that you build with either gender, it didn't really matter. And I think what matters more is like the skills of building relationships that you usually get at at WES.
Any questions?
Thanks to all of you for giving your time this evening. The West values are shining through in each of you. It's a source of pride for us to see. I'm curious, how many schools did each of you tour when you were applying to high school, and how many schools did each of you apply to for high school?
For me, it was just the one because I was sure I was going to go to public school. So
I can't remember, but it had to be like 3 or 4, and yeah, I think so.
I think I applied to 4 schools. I think I toured 4 of them, but I was set on prep.
Same, I applied to 4 schools and also toured all 4 schools.
I toured 3 schools and I applied to 3 schools.
I applied to 11 schools. I wanted to make sure I had backup options. So, yeah, I toured most of them. I'm not sure exactly how many.
Yeah, going into the process, I had no idea where I wanted to go to school. I'd say the conversation my parents had with Miss Cuddy and Mr. Goldman was definitely very helpful to narrow it down and to see where they think I would most succeed. But I think I applied to 4 schools, and I had like 6 schools I was considering, but then I narrowed it down to 4.
As a follow-up, when in that process, so you normally have to make a decision in like March of what school you're going to go to. When did you know that your school was the school for you?
I think was because it was the school I was most nervous to hear about if I got in or not. So that's kind of how I originally do. And then also when I got into that school and a few others that I was making my decision, I went back and I toured with the grade that I'm in, because when you shadow, you go with the grade above you, but I went back and went with my grade. And all the people I met, they were just so nice, and I loved it so much, and I could totally see myself there. And I knew it was the right place for me.
I knew from the jump that I wanted to go to St. Albans. It was just a matter of whether I got in or not. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
I think I knew I wanted to go to Holy Child since around 7th grade. I met one of my now friends who goes there, and she really helped me, and she's just so nice and sweet. And I think that's like one of the first reasons I wanted to go to Holy Child. Seeing her as an example of one of the nicest people I know, it's really great. And I think everyone there is nice.
I think I weighed my options for a little bit longer. I mean, GDS was definitely a clear runner, but I still wanted to make sure. And I think even though I was debating all the schools that I had been accepted to, I still feel like I had a great time at GDS. So if your kid isn't 100% sure what school they want to go to, know that they're still going to have a great time there.
I applied to 4 schools. I got into 3, but then I got waitlisted from prep, and so that was like, oh man. And I kept weighing my options of the other 3, and I kept thinking like, am I settling for less? And so that's when I kind of realized like, I really want to go to prep. So I stuck it out and I got in. Never looked back.
I applied to, I think it was 3, like 4, like I said earlier. I had one top school. This had to be my second choice, the school that I go to now, St. Andrews. But when I got in, I was thankful for my acceptance, but I think, because I had gotten rejected from St. Stephen, St. Agnes, that was my top school, and I was very hopeful that I would get accepted, but when I got accepted to St. Andrews, the school I go to now, like I said earlier, I was grateful because of the experiences I'm able to have and lessons I'm learning through education and also socially, so I definitely think this school I am at now is definitely for me.
I mean, there wasn't really much of a decision. So I guess just somewhere along the way we're like, okay, Whitman is our district.
I think it's important to note some of the stories you heard today. Not getting into my first choice school, not getting into my first choice school, but then getting off the wait list. These are our success stories sitting here right in front of you. You just have to trust that you actually be wonderful wherever you land. And it's lovely to go to places where you're wanted. So lots of kind of lessons that we talk about as we kind of go through this process with our 8th grades or 8th graders and their families. Questions? Good.
Thank you so much. I know some of the schools that you're at start earlier, or go through kindergarten and go on up, and some obviously just started high school. Could you speak a bit to what it was like, either breaking into the social dynamic that was already existing there, or for the schools that just started 9th grade, when a whole flock of new people come together, what they do to kind of create a group environment there?
So for the first day of my school, we have something where all the freshmen get together and they stay in the building, and it's like a icebreaker thing, so you get comfortable with your peers. The grade does expand a lot my freshman year from 8th grade, and I found that it wasn't that hard to get people to be interested in me or make connections and friends. People were coming up to me, like expressing interest and wanting to be possible friends with me. So I found that even though they had their own connections in their groups, they were willing to accept more people in.
Whitman is just a high school, but when you get there, it's already kind of, everybody knows each other a little bit because a lot of people went to Pyle. But for me, the experience was actually really smooth because it's a new school, it's a new setting, and the school is much bigger than the middle school, obviously. So people are much more open to making friends, and being in a class of 600 kids, it feels like there's a lot less like scrutiny, a lot fewer eyes on you because there's just so many people. If you do something and you embarrass yourself, it doesn't really matter. Everybody's just open to making new friends. So for me, it was a very good experience making new friends and meeting new people.
Not gonna lie, St. Albans starts in 4th grade, and there's also a school before St. Albans, before it splits to St. Albans and NCS called Beauvoir. Some of these people have known each other for a very long time, and it's not particularly easy to break into those friend groups. It's just a matter of time. There are still some people that I'm trying to get close to even now at the start of the 2nd semester, but now that I've gotten to know these people, I'm finding my place. And it's not impossible, but it's not particularly easy.
Yeah, so Holton starts in 3rd grade, and people kind of a lot of people come every year, but there was definitely a big jump that came in freshman year. And I think particularly at a girls' school, there's a lot of different social changes going into high school. So like even now, there are still lots of people who are becoming closer with other people than they were originally, or who are new and they're kind of changing like friend groups or whatever. So I just say like, honestly, everyone's really nice, and I feel like my community is so nice and inclusive that when I came, like people forgot that I was new. So like, yeah, and it was really nice.
Holy Child starts in 6th grade, and so when I joined, there was around 45 new kids and 45 old kids from middle school, and there are already bonds built. The thing is, you make friends so fast, and people are very willing to make friends with you, that, they didn't really have that much of a head start because everyone just wants to make new friends.
I think GDS starts in kindergarten, and it's about 50-50 when you go to high school. And I'll be honest that you can tell who's been there for a while. And at GDS, they like make that known. I'll be like, I've been here since 2nd grade. Okay, whatever. But I think, I felt like there was a place for me at GDS, and I'm friends with people who've gone there forever, and a lot of my friends are people who started in high school. And I think it's just like finding your group, and your group are going to be people who are going to want to be friends with you and make that space for you.
I don't know if I was the only one here, but Georgetown Prep is just a high school. And I think it's interesting because everybody is this like new awkward kid, doesn't really know like anybody there because you can't come from a different school. But I think it's a good experience because everybody else is looking to make friends. No one's trying to stick together. Everybody's trying to be open. I think that helped me a lot in freshman year.
Have questions? Any of our students have questions? Raina.
Hello, I do remember you all from a couple years ago. And my one question is, especially in 6th grade, and I know in 7th and 8th grade, are there any pieces of advice you would give for specific big things like the musical or the 6th grade science fair and things like that, where juggling multiple things at once, from learning lines to preparing for the presentation in front of the judges and Mesa Fair and all that stuff? Would you give any advice to new fresh 6th graders trying to balance and just wanting to also feel a little bit free and have some time with friends too?
Can I give some background to it? Because there's people here who don't know the things that Raina just mentioned. She mentioned the musical. So each year our 6th graders do a huge musical, and they're here till after school every Friday. They're here on Saturdays sometimes. This year they're doing Frozen. What's the date?
March 13th.
13. Come on, that's going to be amazing. At the same time, there's also a very big 6th grade science fair that happens here in the library, and they have to basically defend our hypothesis. She mentioned the Mesa Fair, that's a Mid-Atlantic Episcopal Scholastic Fair that many of our students attend. And then she's new to middle school. And so all this happens. And then they're also off to Utah in the spring as well. So there is a lot for a sixth grader to juggle. And you want to have fun at the same time. So, you have advice for Rain. The newer, yeah, the younger ones.
Yeah, sixth grade is definitely a time when you have a lot going on, and especially then in high school, it's really important to think of balance for yourself. And I think sixth grade is actually definitely a time when I kind of learned how to make that for myself because you have a lot going on. And my advice would just be when you have time to do anything, like get ahead of your science fair, start learning your lines, take advantage of it so that you don't leave it all for later because that's the worst when you have to cram it. And if you are able to do those things earlier, you'll have more time for yourself later. So I think just by starting now and whenever you have time or energy to work on anything, you'll have less to do later and you'll thank yourself for that.
This might not be the answer you're looking for, but power through it. Definitely manage your time well, because it is a lot and it can be stressful. But this too shall pass. So keep on going and manage your time when you can.
I would say this is more science fair oriented, but don't feel pressured that you have to make Mesa. Like, you can still have a really good project and not make it there. I would just say when you're presenting, be yourself, have fun, speak up. And I know there's like a lot happening, but it's all gonna be okay, it's gonna pass. You're gonna look back and be like, wow, that was a lot, but hey, I got through it. Yeah.
I feel like our sixth grade was COVID, so maybe.
So Joey and I, ours was live streamed on YouTube, but I found the experience to be fun. It wasn't stressful for me, but did we have a science project? I don't think we did. I don't think we had a science fair, but just overall managing time, like having fun, and also with school is sometimes you would have to give up that time with friends so you can finish your work. But again, you have to learn time management, which will teach you for your years forward in high school and the rest of middle school. But yeah, just get stuff done when you have the opportunity and use your time wisely.
Obviously, our sixth grade experience was a little messed up by COVID, but I feel like that in and of itself kind of shows that there's not one right answer as for what that balance should be between social and school. You kind of just have to find that for yourself. Even in other grades, like between 9th grade and now, my balance between school and social life has changed a lot. So you just kind of have to find that for yourself.
Other questions? So we have students from 7 very, very different schools today, and one thing standing off to the side that I felt is a huge sense of happiness in each of those schools. And so, as a student sitting in the audience or a parent of a middle schooler, there's happiness in so many different places, and it may take you 2 or 3 years if you're a 6th grader or a 7th grader to know where that place is. And then I think Abby said it very well. You just kind of feel it sometimes. And then once you're there, if you're kind, if you remember the things that your teachers taught you in class, if you bring your confidence to your social life, high school's not the high school that maybe some of us remember. Can we get a big round of applause?